bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The high rate of divorce has forced a local author to examine the problem and offer possible solutions. She has written a book on the issue. It is a compilation of inspirational writings to bring hope and healing to marriages that have suffered pain and hurt. Shakara Trott reports.
Local author Margaret Mullings says she was inspired to write the book Restoring the Torn Up Bed during a very unusual personal encounter.
I awakened from sleep and looked at the bed that my husband and I share, and the bed was all torn up. The sheet was off the bed, and I was puzzled, and I said, Lord, how did this bed get like this? And I was sleeping, and did I sleep that bad? Did we sleep that bad? And then it kept on happening. It just kept on happening. The bed keep on being torn up.
Mullings says oftentimes persons are not aware of the indicators that bring about separation.
Husbands turning their backs to the wives, they lay down on the edge of the bed. The wife, she's laying the next way, almost ready to fall out the bed. And you practice that so much that you grow so much apart. And you symbolically, like the torn up bed, your relationship becomes that way. Like you end up like you live together. You share the bed, but then it's like you living a separated life.
Mullings says there is a spiritual attack on the marriage relationship, and that has translated into an increase in divorces in the country. She says the book is a wake-up call to commit or recommit to the marriage vow.
It is so important for husbands and wives to realize that we're not fighting against each other, but it's a spiritual battle. And if you are in Christ, you're going to pray. A lot of things, you're not going to fight it in the natural. You're going to pray about it.
Pastor Paul and Margaret Mullings have been married for 30 years. Pastor Paul believes that the bedrock of any society is the family. He says the rebuilding of the nation begins and ends with the family.
If we pay attention to the marriage bed, crime will be decreased. All right? Because one of the commandments is thou shalt not commit adultery. That's why we see all the broken homes, all the STDs, you name it. This always comes about because of the defilement of the marriage bed, you see. And so I hope that this will be a way to encourage people to stay in their marriage, and those who have stayed and not just exist, but to make it meaningful.
He also encourages husbands and wives to remain faithful and always put each other first as ordained by God.
There seems to be a tendency on the mother's part or the wife's part to put their children before their spouse. And I see that as being so detrimental in maintaining the marriage bed.
The book, according to the couple, wants to reveal the real truth behind a torn-up marriage. Shakara Trott, ZNS Network News.
Thank you, Shakara. A book launch and marriage seminar is scheduled for June 28th at the Mount Calvary Educational Building at 7 p.m. An institution in West Grand Bahama rolling out the red carpet for one of its own recently. Teacher of the Year 2012-2014 at Bartlett Hill Primary School, Farron Delavo was hailed as the best among those in the teaching profession at the Special Assembly. The honoree stated that she was thrilled about the moment and the events leading up to the special day.
When we were in the room selecting, and I was actually one of them who had selected the next teacher over myself, but somehow when it all was counted, I was left, with it in my hand. And I just give God thanks, because it's only He alone that has allowed me to be uplifted to this level. So I give Him thanks.
What do you think about the Special Assembly they're holding?
Awesome.
School Principal Jackie Pinder had high praises for the educator, whom she says has made significant strides in the industry.
Mrs. Delavo is a woman of excellence. She is a teacher of excellence. We are pleased to honor her this morning, among many others. She brings excellence to the classroom. She makes her lessons interesting and exciting. She makes learning fun. And I believe that she has given her life to teaching, and her teachers, her students always speak highly of her. Our parents speak highly of her. And it is always good to go into her classroom and observe lessons, because she brings life to the most boring topic, and she makes learning fun.
The Bahamian spirit came alive yesterday at the Mary Star of the Sea Primary School. The celebration of national pride was in observance of the country's 40th anniversary of independence. Principal Robert Knapp says the students were elated to take part in such festivities.
We've been celebrating the Bahamas all year, each island during our assemblies, and today we wrapped up our final assembly together with a celebration of the 40th anniversary of our independence. Our kindergarten put on a display taking us back to 1973, July 9th and 10th, with a remembrance of how we transferred over from British rule to Bahamian independence. And so it was a wonderful day. Kindergarten did a wonderful job, and we had a grade 5 choir singing "I'm Proud to be Bahamian." And this week we're having our literacy week, and we're focusing on Bahamian poetry and literature. And so, like I said, we're trying to bring that kind of sense of national pride to our young people. And
members of the Rotary Club paying tribute to one of their own today. The fellow Rotarian passed away 1 week ago after a long battle with cancer. As our intern Italia Hall tells us, it was an emotional time for Rotarians and family members.
The Rotary Club of Lakaya paid tribute to the late Stephen Dillard on Tuesday. Dillard was an avid tennis player, dedicated Rotarian, and a well-known businessman in the community. VJ Dillard reflected on the hard work his father put into the organization and shared how much the Rotary Club meant to him.
For the better part of my life, before cell phones and the accessibility to people, my father was a very busy man. He was all over the place, and for the better part of my life, if you needed to get a hold of him or know where he was, Tuesdays at 12:30 you could find him. This organization was a very, very important, big part of his life. He was very dedicated to Rotary.
Phil Gator, president of the Rotary Club of Lakaya, reminisced on some of the great memories he shared with Steve Dillard as fellow Rotarians.
You went to Steve on any matter. He was delighted to talk about Rotary. He was delighted to compel you to be as good or better than you can be in whichever avenue of service you were called on to serve in.
Dennis Knowles, membership chair, said Stephen Dillard leaves behind a good legacy and he should be remembered for all the good he has done for the different communities on Grand Bahama.
Steve is a true Rotarian. Steve ate, drank, slept Rotary. He's been involved locally. He's been in the club. He's held just about every position in the club. He's held positions in the district. He's worked with the district government. He's helped with so many different projects that has benefited the people of Grand Bahama. Rotary's motto is service above self, and Steve truly exemplified that. In fact, he loved that. He was driven to help people, and Rotary was his tool for doing that. And he made good use of all of the properties that Rotary had to make sure that Grand Bahama got as much out of Rotary as they could possibly have.
Dillard's family and the members of the organization are saddened by his death.
It's his love for people, and not just people, but people with disabilities. I remember standing with Steve, and he took such an interest in the Beacon School, and he made sure that every year from I joined Rotary, he made sure that those children had a Christmas party, one to be remembered.
Stephen Dillard died last Tuesday at the age of 59. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
To Lawanda and Ross is thinking out some fun, but I had to bring this out though. Lawanda, I want to give one also to Brando Stewart, but I couldn't find the color for Brando. I wanted to get a yellow one.
And Ross is home cooking up some delicious stuff, I must say.
The one that'll be out tomorrow.
Oh yes, maybe she wants to take one of these with her, and maybe one of these also. That's going to do it for News from the Northern Service. On behalf of the entire team,
I'm Ricardo Lightboy.
I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. The Bahamas Tonight continues with the National Report.